Hello to all of our attendees tonight, and welcome to our Summer Fun webinar. My name is Alex, and I will be your host along with Scotia and Alex. It will be the three of us today, sharing a little bit about what our summer entails and how we plan to beat the heat and COVID-19. We also have a special message from one of our alumni tonight who couldn't join us as she is taking a road trip across Canada. So stay tuned for that as well. So we all know that summer is such an exciting time for everyone with the sunny and warm weather, the bonfires with friends, adventures with family, and so much more. So tonight, as I mentioned, Scotia, Alex, and I will be talking about things that we plan to do this summer. So Scotia, do you want to do a brief introduction and then we'll jump back to Alex?
Sounds good. So hey everybody, I'm Scotia. I am a 2015 scholarship recipient. I'm a recent university grad. This past year, I took a year off living and working and skiing in Fernie, BC. This summer, at the end of the week, actually, I'm leaving for my job where I'm working at a whitewater rafting company. So hopefully I'm going to be enjoying the last couple months of summer there.
Sounds so much fun. Alex.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm a 2012 DHF recipient. I am currently working on my master's in biomedical engineering, and I'm an avid rock climber, hiker, camper, everything outdoors.
So we have some true adventurers with us tonight. So just jumping right in, we know that COVID has made things a little bit more challenging, especially with social distancing measures and other safety precautions put in place. But because of COVID, it doesn't mean that your summer has to be put on hold. So the first question that I do have, and Alex, you mentioned that you're big into hiking and rock climbing, and Scotia, I know that you do a lot of canoeing and kayaking. What are the best places to go? What adventures have you been on? So Scotia.
Awesome. So sticking to the more boating theme, because I know Alex is definitely more into hiking. For canoe tripping, I'm really fond of Killarney Provincial Park. It's a beautiful park. It's not super busy like Algonquin can be, because I know Algonquin's extremely popular. Beautiful all the same, but Killarney's beautiful. I went to school in Peterborough, Ontario, so I've done a few canoe trips up in like the Kawartha Highlands. Also beautiful, and I think in my experience it's kind of overlooked. It's overshadowed again by Algonquin and some of the parks more up north. As for kayaking, I recently just got into whitewater kayaking last year, so I'm very new to the sport still. There's a lot to learn, but it's really, really fun. I've kayaked on the Ottawa River, which is a very, very wonderful river for paddlers of all abilities. It's great because it's warm water, it's big water, so it's really exciting, but it's not filled with a lot of rocks and things if you go on the right rapids. There's also the Madawaska River, which is great for kind of beginner kayakers too. So I'm also excited to get to learn about more rivers this upcoming season when I'm working at the rafting company.
That's so exciting. And I've done a little bit of rafting in my time, maybe on like those big pool floaties down the Saugeen River actually is where I do a lot of my floating, but that's a lot of fun. Now, I do have some other questions for you, Scotia, about how you keep your diabetes supplies in check, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But Alex, where are your favorite places to go to hike? Any secret spots that you can maybe share?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I tend to try and every summer be able to get out and camp. Trying every other weekend, it doesn't always work out because life gets busy, but I definitely, the Bruce Peninsula area, there's some really great areas up there, and I'm planning on going to Lionhead, has some really cool rock climbing features there. So there's just up there. Killarney, as you actually mentioned, Scotia, is a beautiful area. I was yurting there actually in the winter. So that's the winter cabin camping, and it was absolutely amazing. It's super peaceful over there. And I will say Algonquin, though it is busy, it's busy for a reason. And so you can still find your own space there. So I've done both car camping there and canoe camping there. And the canoe camping, you can get your like almost a whole island to yourself. Like it can the backcountry stuff, you can get a bit more space if you're able to do that, but also the car camping, it's just such a beautiful setting. But I'm actually exploring a bit of southwestern Ontario right now, because that's where I'm staying with my girlfriend. And so I'm learning a lot about, like, Lake Huron has a ton of beautiful little campsites and beaches, and like different there's like Point Pelee, Point Rondo. So there's tons of sites that I want to visit soon. But yeah, so just exploring lots of Ontario.
There's so many places in Ontario that you can visit. And Alex, you briefly touched on this, but I do want to mention that all of the places that we are talking about tonight, these are suggestions to go. And please be mindful when you do arrive at these places or plan to go to not overcrowd. We want to make sure that you, our audience, stays safe, as well as you're taking the right precautions for others to be safe as well. So we know that in the news lately, Sauble Beach has been closed due to overcrowding. So just keep in mind about some of the places that we are mentioning. Some of them I know that Alex has mentioned, a few hidden locations that are really nice to go to. Same with Scotia, whitewater rafting is a lot of fun to do, and there's not really a whole lot of people around, so still keeping it safe, but just be mindful. We do want to make note because we want everyone to have a really fun summer too. All right, so now I want to dive into the diabetes portion of your travel excursions. So Scotia, how do you manage your diabetes supplies and diabetes management while going on long canoe or kayaking trips?
So for canoe trips, one of the issues is making sure things don't overheat. So in the past, I have this cooler bag that I usually keep my insulin in. Before we even started this webinar, we were talking about the Frio. Is it a Frio bag?
It's like the Frio cold packs, yeah.
And I think Alex can elaborate on that more because it sounds like a fantastic resource. But in the past, I've used just a cooler bag because I'm on injection. I don't use a pump at all. So that I find that really handy for canoeing and kayaking because I don't have anything attached to me and I don't have to worry about waterproofing anything. So that's very handy. Also just keeping lots and lots of low supplies ready because you're expending way more energy, especially on canoe trips because you're moving literally all day. So that's really important. And of course, just checking your glucose more than usual for the same reason. And that's why I was going to ask Alex about in canoe tripping or anything involving water. I'm also just curious about how you like waterproof your pump. It's a new world to me.
Yeah, yeah, because I guess I've only done one canoe trip, but I had to like think through it and make sure that everything was safe. But basically, you can get dry packs, and so I got one that was basically meant for a phone, and I put my pump in that, and so that was basically like, okay, my pump is safe. I'll wear it most of the time. If like when I'm swimming, sometimes I take it off because it's not worth working through that, but. And then all my other diabetes supplies, I put in like a fairly sizable dry pack because I was like, these are the things, no matter what, I don't want to get wet. And normally when you're canoeing, you do have big dry bags, but it's just like that extra layer that all the supplies are bundled up in that. So, yeah.
Cool.
And that's really interesting. So we do have a comment from one of our attendees. Insulin pumps are now being made to be waterproof. Omnipod can go below 6 meters in water. Well, that's really cool. That's for handy. And the Freestyle Libre isn't. Scotia, you have the Libre, right?
I do. And it's new to me. I didn't have it last summer. So that's going to be a learning experience for sure. Because I know you're okay to be in the water for 30 minutes, I think is what it says. So I'm interested to see how this works. I met someone on the river last year who also had a Libre actually. And he said it worked for him. So it's going to be a learning experience for me for sure. Just making sure I keep it out of the water as much as possible when I'm in the raft or canoeing and stuff.
Right. So Scotia, how do you plan to like protect, I guess, your site during these water trips and your rafting excursions? Or do you plan to do something?
I know you can get patches. I have one that I've worn before. There's different breathable patches that you can put on over top of your Libre that helps keep it from like sliding off or anything, or you hitting it on stuff and sliding off. I'm definitely going to invest in some of those. They seem like an awesome resource to have. I worked at a pool this past year, and I actually saw a little boy who had kind of the same type of patch on his arm for his Libre, and it seemed to be working awesome. So yeah, I'm excited to try those.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I've seen on some other groups that I'm in, the little ones have been using the waterproof BandAids, like the really big patches. And apparently they fit over. One thing I hate about these is just all these bugs.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead, Alex.
I'll say that I bring a lot of tape when I'm camping or on any trips, because I find that medical tape always comes in handy. But I've recently got these like sizable like clear BandAids that go right over my sensor that I wear, because I wear I'm a pumper, and so I wear a Medtronic sensor as well, and so I put that over that because I've had issues in the past with exercise knocking it off, or actually being in areas where it's so hot that it's actually just slipped off because the adhesion wasn't great. I actually had to shave my leg so that it would stick on better, but definitely bring lots and lots of tape, because I find that's the one thing that you don't always think about, but is actually really useful when you have a site that's on the edge.
So Alex, you mentioned something really funny, that you had to shave your leg because it wouldn't stick. Now, was that because of the heat? And if so, can you explain and elaborate a little bit on what happened?
Yeah, so I guess this is a bit of a different climate. So I was in Southeast Asia, I was in Vietnam, and it's very humid there and very hot. And so I like to put my sensor on my leg because it's kind of out of the way for me. And that works all the time in Canada for me. But for some reason there, it just was slipping off. And so I decided that I would just shave like a square patch, and that's where my site was going to go, and it worked. So it just getting that extra bit of friction there helped.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, and especially if maybe you only have a limited amount, you just got to try something new. And have you found yourself doing that more often now, even with the summer months coming up and it being really warm?
Not yet. I don't love shaving my leg. So
that's hilarious. You would hate being a girl. So Scotia, have you found any tips or tricks that you have done to manage your diabetes during the summer?
The main thing for me is still just making sure my insulin is cool, because I've kind of used I guess more the old school, just like a normal cooler pack, which is kind of bulky and isn't as reliable as the Frio device, which you've used before. So I'm thinking of investing one of those too, which would make things a lot easier.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 of them now, because it's actually useful, because basically how they work, they're packs that, like, there's ones that fit the insulin pump, there's ones that are bigger that can fit your just insulin itself. And so I basically, at the start of each day, you fill a bowl of cold water and you just submerge it in it, and there's little beads in it that fill up with that cold water, and then it just maintains that sort of temperature the whole day. So it's not super cold, but it doesn't get super warm either. So it keeps it kind of at that middle ground. And I've taken it across Asia, across Canada, and I've had no issues with that. And so in the past, actually, like the first summer I was diagnosed, I went to a beach with my family, and I just didn't think about it. I had my pump out. I was just enjoying the day. And at the end of the day, we went for dinner, and insulin was not working. Nothing was working there. So I think the insulin just degraded. It was just left out in the sun too long. Just be cognizant where your insulin is, because it can cause issues in really warm weather. So.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good tip. And another comment from one of our attendees, they used the Frio when they went to Cuba. So it's really good for transporting or going wherever it is that you need to go. So Alex, you take those on hikes when you go on like your day trips, on your hikes and stuff?
Yeah, I basically look at the day, and if it's cold enough, if it's hot enough, then I'll bring it. But in the peak months, July, August, that's when I'll bring it out. But there's the shoulder months, I keep it at home. But it's it's very useful.
And so for those watching and for those interested, Alex, where do you find these?
Frio has their own website, so you can just go online and find it. And also, I think Frio was going to take longer, so I think they're actually on Amazon as well. But
Good to
and
know.
I see Diabetes Express in the comments, so that's also good to know. So
Good to know. So we'll post these resources on our website under the Summer Fun webinar links, so you can find those after if you're interested in buying some. Great. Okay, so I want to move on to road trips because there's a lot of places in Ontario and other provinces that you can go to during the summer just to get out of the house. We know we can't really cross the borders, it's not safe, so still traveling within Canada. So I'm going to open this up to both you, Scotia, and Alex. What are your favorite places to go in Canada or in Ontario that you would visit again? Scotia, we can start with you on that one.
I always love Tobermory, the Bruce Peninsula area. I know Alex mentioned this too.
yeah.
I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous area. I remember I've been going there just car camping, but ever since I was pretty young. And I always remember the water looks like you're in a tropical place. It's breathtaking. However, that being said, I think in recent years it's become more crowded, perhaps even more at this time. So I wanted to just encourage everybody to check out your local conservation areas, your local trails. I know right here in Hamilton, we're the waterfall city, so I'm really lucky to be able to do lots of hikes, see lots of waterfalls. It's really beautiful. So even checking out even your municipality's website, I'm sure there's definitely resources about conservation areas, trails, local places you can go that aren't even very far.
Alex, Scotia, that was a great point. Tobermory is so beautiful. It's actually very close to where I live, so I'm lucky that I can take a day trip, and it's not very far, which is really nice. And waterfalls are amazing. Yeah, be sure to check out if there's any really cool waterfalls in your area. I know Niagara has quite a few. Hamilton obviously has a lot, and even up north where I am, so the Flesherton, Eugenia area, there's some really beautiful trails. We're right on the Bruce Trail, and a funny story, I actually ended up getting lost because I took the white trail and not the blue trail, and the white trail goes all the way to Niagara Falls. So if you just want to take a small hike, follow the blue trail as a side note. But Alex, what are your favorite places in Ontario to go to, whether it's for a day trip or longer?
Yeah, no, I guess I want to say also for what Scotia said about looking local, I've discovered all these new trail networks that I never knew about around Woodstock. And so like, there's lots local that you can explore. And so that's a good resource. But yeah, I would definitely say an area that I want to explore more that I actually haven't is actually just Northern Ontario, because I've gone, I guess, Algonquin, Sudbury, Algonquin is the farthest I've gone. And there's just so much beautiful area above in Ontario that I haven't explored yet. And so I think that that's kind of an area where if you drive an extra 3-4 hours, you can actually get a whole like campsite, a whole lake to yourself potentially, because people aren't willing to drive. So sometimes it's worth taking that extra bit. And I guess one other motivation there is I want to see the Northern Lights. So hoping that will happen the further north I go.
That's a really good point. Scotia, yeah, go ahead.
I totally agree with you. I really want to check out Sleeping Giant Provincial Park.
Yes.
It looks beautiful. And this in May, I was driving back from Fernie, and we were going really quickly because we didn't want to stop in many places. Camping wasn't open anyway at that time. But we were driving by Lake Superior. Oh my goodness, it was so nice. I really wanted to stop, and I wish we could have stopped and stayed for longer. So I agree with you. It's amazing. It's beautiful up there.
Mm.
There are a lot of really cool places to go, and Alex, you make such a good point about seeing the Northern Lights. If you haven't seen them, they are absolutely stunning. I was lucky enough to see them actually just where my parents live, and that's an hour and a half north of Toronto. We were driving home one day, and it was a beautiful clear sky, and we ended up seeing the red Northern Lights, one of the rarest colors, and I had no idea what it was until my mom said that we were expecting them. So it was the coolest experience, literally in my own backyard. So So even check out what the astrology forecast is, checking out really cool planets, or just doing a stargaze outside on a blanket. There's so many really cool things that you can enjoy that are just in your backyard, which is really cool. So as Scotia and Alex, actually Scotia just briefly talked about her travel back from BC, I do want to share a quick video with you all tonight from one of our alumni, Amy, who is actually traveling to BC. She's flying out there and she's doing a road trip to Newfoundland. So I'm just going to pull up the video. It's really short, it's 3 minutes, but it's a really fun thing to share.
Hey guys, my name is Amy. I am a DHF alumni and I've had type 1 diabetes for many years, like over 10 years. I am doing a road trip from BC all the way to PEI, starting probably beginning of July and ending sometime in September. Super, super excited about it. And the reason I'm doing this is because we can't leave the country for the most part. And because of COVID, I'm able to work from home. So I'm moving out, so there's my mattress on the floor with my laptop and my VPN. Super excited about all of this, and I did look into like how COVID relates to all of it. So my plan is to fly to Vancouver and then buy a car there, insure it there, and then take it across Canada. So apparently if you're on a plane, COVID isn't too bad because the filtration system on planes can get rid of viruses 100%. And then in terms of where I'll stay, I'll be doing some camping, which is super COVID safe. And on the other hand, I'll also be staying at private Airbnbs. Most things I read online says that private Airbnbs are fine during COVID, but we'll see. Like I'm gonna bring my own pillowcase and some of my own duvets and that sort of thing. If you want to take a look of what I'm packing, how do I turn this around? Oh, not like that, okay. So I've got the stuff that people who are not diabetic are packing. So, I've got my fishing rod and some clothes, whatnot. Something that I wanted to mention is if you're going on a road trip, I think it's really important to get yourself an alternator. This thing plugs into the cigarette hole thing and you can charge your laptop with it. Your phone can charge faster with it because it's got more power. Another thing I did some research on is if you're camping and like you need to power your laptop, for example, you can also get one of these. They're on Amazon and it's basically a huge external battery and it can last you for a MacBook, like probably a full charge. And then in terms of the diabetes stuff, I've done a lot of backpacking and bringing the diabetes stuff is never easy, but at least this time I'm in Canada, which means I can get a lot of stuff shipped to me. So I talked to, I think it was Medtronic, and they said they could basically ship their stuff anywhere in Canada. I just need to call them a week ahead of time to let them know. So this is all my diabetes stuff. There's my backpack and there's all my sites and reservoirs. Also, this is super important. It's called a Frio, and basically it's like an ice pack without ice. So I could put all my insulin in here. You just submerge it in water and then the whole thing turns really, really cold and you can keep your insulin in there for a long time. So sorry I can't be with you guys today. I am probably in the middle of trying to figure out how to buy my first car and get my first insurance and all of that fun stuff. But definitely look into your company policies to see if you can work from home, because if you do, then home can be anywhere. See you guys, bye.
So yeah, so she's doing some really cool things, getting a car out in BC and then driving it all the way to PEI, which is really cool. So I'm interested to see all the stops she does along the way and see where her travels take her, which will be a lot of fun. And she did mention a lot of really good tips. Alex, Scotia, if you guys go on long car trips, do you have one of those alternator power bars that Amy had talked about?
No, but I want to get one.
I do, and they're really awesome.
No kidding. Do either of you go on really long road trips or have been on long road trips?
The longest one I've been on was this past year, when I moved out to Fernie, and that was in October. My boyfriend and I went down through the states, so we got to explore a lot of states. We went through Illinois, I think it was North Dakota or South Dakota, I don't remember, and then through Montana and then back up into BC from there. Super fun. I was telling you two before we started the webinar today that It was definitely a learning experience with my diabetes because I'd never been on a road trip that long while having type 1. My family used to road trip down to Florida every year, but that was before I became diabetic, actually. So this was the first long trip I was able to take with diabetes. And it was difficult to keep my insulin at a proper temperature. Next time I will definitely invest in a Frio pack, but I used a cooler, and since it was so many days, we kept replacing the ice in it. And I think my insulin definitely, it denatured also, which was really unfortunate. However, I now have learned from that experience, and I know how to fix it for next time. So as much as it was not great, at least I learned, and now I can learn, like, better myself from that experience.
And a lot of times that you can do that, it's all really a learning curve, especially when you do travel and you have diabetes. There's a lot of things that you have to learn. And Alex, have you learned anything since your travels?
Yeah, well, I guess one thing that Amy reminded me is that Medtronics will ship stuff everywhere, and they're actually very quick at it. And so one time when I was at university in Kingston, my pump just stopped working. Like one of the buttons stuck, and it wouldn't reconnect. And so this was, I think it was about 10 or 11 p.m. I called Medtronics. I was like, okay, my pump isn't working. They're like, all right, we'll send you a new one. And they had one to my door by like 6 a.m. Like it was like under 8 hours or something like that they had like turned around and got me a new pump. So they're on the ball, and most manufacturers will be, because I realize that diabetes is like, we need our supplies right then and there. So and then I guess for road tripping and whatnot, I think basically on the pump side of things, always bring more than you think you're going to need. I always bring like 30% more. So it's like if I bring 3 sites, then I bring an extra like 4 or 5. Like there's always that surplus that I like to bring, because you just never know. Like you could be getting out of the car and a site rips out, and then you're one site down. So you don't want to be working against a ticker there. But yeah, no. So I think there's lots that you can do on road trips, and diabetes, if you plan, won't hold you back at all.
Yeah, Alex, those are great tips. Thank you for sharing. And there's so many other ways to explore Canada with everything that's going on, whether it's virtually or, as Scotia mentioned, or as Alex mentioned, even the Northern Lights and just hanging out in your backyard. So Scotia, I'm going to throw it up to you now. I know in previous conversations that we've had, you talked a little bit about virtual things that you can do from home. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on those?
Yeah, so I think that's also important to remember, because not everybody, the outdoors isn't always super accessible to some people, especially if you're living like deep within the city and you don't have reliable access to transportation. So there are a lot of things to like celebrate the outdoors and do virtually right now, especially because of COVID. I wrote down a few ideas that I know of. If anyone has heard of the Banff Mountain Film Festival, it's an amazing film festival that is held every year that celebrates outdoor films of various lengths. Some of them are only 5 minutes, other ones are like 45 minutes, half an hour. And the organization, the Banff Mountain Film Festival, has made all of these films available online this year. Or not all of them, but at least a lot of them online. So if you check out their website, there's a whole list of the films that you can access, which is really an amazing, I really recommend it. A lot of the films are phenomenal. They get you really stoked to get back out into the outdoors when you can. Another thing, I actually got an email today from Parks Canada, because I signed up for their emailing service years ago. And they were talking about different resources that they have. There's a series called the Conservation Quests, where they give tips about birding and different places where you can go birding near you. As a biology nerd, I thought that was really cool. They also have access to live cams of like beluga whales in one of the provincial parks. Lastly, I just want to talk about summer camp. I know the camp I used to work for, Camp Kawartha, is doing a virtual summer camp this year. So I don't know if any of our listeners have young kids. this would be a great activity for them in the summer. I know my camp is doing some virtual crafts and activities and challenges for kids. So I think that's also awesome. Everyone's adapting in such amazing ways.
And I think we've had to do that, is had to adapt pretty quickly to the now virtual world that we live in. But there's so many great things that you talked about, Scotia. Even with the camps for kids, a lot of stuff has been moved virtually. So if your kids were ever part of a camp, whether it was a day camp or overnight camp, be sure to check out their websites, because chances are there's probably something for your little ones to keep them occupied, so you can have maybe just a little bit of your own summer in your backyards. Now, Alex, I know in conversations that we've had as well, do you know of any virtual expeditions that you can travel to?
Yeah, no, I was actually last night digging in a bit more, and I stumbled upon Red Bull TV actually has a lot of free videos and documentaries and shows that you can watch that go through like backcountry skiing and mountain biking, and a lot of like fun outdoor adventure films that are freely available. So that's definitely a resource I'd say to check out. And then actually Google Arts and Culture put together a thing for the state's national parks. And so you're able to go on like virtual tours. And so yesterday I took a tour of like a Hawaiian volcano, and they have like a personalized tour guide that comes with you. And they give you a little background of like, we're going into like the lava tubes now. And like they take you all the way through. So I was actually really impressed with it, because I was like, it actually feels like you're there, because you're often in these things, you're able to do like a 360 view. So they walk you forward, but you're allowed to sort of look around. So I was quite impressed actually with that. And I think Parks Canada has done that with a couple of theirs as well. Like there's some treetop trekking that I saw up with Parks Canada, which is really, really cool. So.
Interesting. And just another comment, Planet Earth has a good DVD series, and Disney Plus. Yeah, they do, with Disney nature videos and stuff from National Geographic. National Geographic is just incredible, whether you follow their pictures and their websites, they're just amazing. And just to kind of elaborate on what you guys both said with the virtual expeditions, even if you want to explore Toronto, I was doing some research today, and Toronto has some really cool activities where you can visit the ROM, you can do a virtual tour of the Bata Shoe Museum, which is really interesting. You can also do a 360 tour of the CN Tower. So you can do the skywalk, you can do the base, but there's stuff like that that you can even explore within Toronto, and just staying at home in your pajamas and just hanging out. There's so many other things you can do. I know, Scotia, in another conversation that we had, you talked about the Vancouver Aquarium, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you checked that out?
I haven't yet, but I know they have the live cams of a lot of the animals there, which is really, really cute. And I see in our comments too, the Toronto Zoo has lessons with animals daily, which is awesome.
And I think you can drive through now, through the zoo or something like that. So you can't get out, but you can go and still experience it. So.
In African Lion Safari, I need to look into and see if they're open, because that place is really, really cool. And as I was telling Scotia and Alex yesterday, if you do go to African Lion Safari, make sure you have a black vehicle and you go on a sunny day. The baboons do not like to sit on black cars and rip windshield wipers off. So if you do plan on going, either skip the baboons or drive a black vehicle. So anyways, there is so much fun stuff that you can do in your own backyard, whether it's just traveling to a park and your natural or your local conservation area, or even just virtually touring some places. But Alex, Scotia, do you guys have any last words, travel advice, or just fun stories about summer that you want to share with our audience?
I was going to say one more thing. It's a really cool activity to do. I find it really fun anyway. There's an app called Strava, which you can record bike rides, workouts, walking, running, a lot of stuff on that app, which I find really rewarding. Even if I just go on walks with my audiobook, I always record how long I've been, and I always feel really accomplished after I've done so. I'm also using my miles logged on Strava to help complete a challenge with a team of people from university to complete virtually the Pacific Crest Trail this summer, because my one friend was going to do it. She got in the lottery and secured a spot for April, and obviously that did not happen. So she gathered a team of people, and we're virtually combining our kilometers walked throughout the summer to walk the PCT. So finding just virtual events like that with the team, it's been really fun. So I'm sure there's a lot more of them out there. So yeah, would recommend doing that too.
Yeah. That's really cool. I didn't even think about doing that. Alex?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that since COVID has started, I've gotten into just seeing what nature is around me. And so I got really into birding. And so there's a really good birding app called the Autobahn. And so you can basically say there's a bird the size of like a pigeon. It's black. It's got like a red crest or something like that. So there's just so many birds around you and you don't even realize it. Was realizing Toronto has way more than you think. But the heron is my favorite that I've seen recently, because it looks like it's a pterodactyl when it's flying. Like, it's just, the arms are so massive and just so daunting. It's one of my favorites. And then there's also some really good apps for identifying plants. So there's one called iNaturalist, and so it allows you to take a picture and show you what it is. And so I was noticing that there was something that looked just kind of like lettuce growing in the swamp around us. And so it was like bright green and just didn't fit in with the rest of it. And it turned out to be like skunk cabbage. So it gets a really bad smell eventually, but it was really cool looking before it started smelling bad.
That is so interesting. Alex, what was the name of that plant app?
It was called iNaturalist.
iNaturalist. I'm gonna have to get that. There's a weird plant at my house that it kind of looks like poison ivy, kind of looks like poison oak, but it's got, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile.
But that is so, like, there's so many nature apps that I think a lot of people are getting into because we've got so much time to be outside. So I wonder how many bird watcher professionals, I don't know what official bird watchers are we're going to come out of this.
Actually, in my last year of university, I did a little project on that app.
Oh, cool.
Because it's great for citizen science. So for that app, if you take a photo of your observation, different people in the iNaturalist community can help verify that your observation is the correct species. And if it's verified, then it can be actually used in research. So researchers can use the data from iNaturalist to study different populations of certain species. So by using iNaturalist, not only are you learning about nature, you're helping researchers. So it's awesome.
That is really interesting. So I'll have to get the link from one of you. If either of you can send it to me, we'll post it on our website as well. So you can take part in research, I guess, which is really cool. And so quick question, because you kind of talked about the rewards, Scotia, with the walking. On these bird and the iNaturalist apps, do you get badges if you get a certain amount of birds, or if you identify some? So is it like an interactive app type thing?
I know on iNaturalist you can look at the list of all the observers in your area and see who has the most observations and stuff. I'm not aware of any kind of like badges and things you can get, but Alex, maybe you are?
Yeah, I think there's no badges or anything involved, because I think it's more just like crowdsourced, like can we name this? That's like kind of the excitement. And so I know with the bird app, I was able to set alerts to be like, oh, has there been a goldfinch seen? Has there been a blue heron seen? And so you get like a ding, and it's like there's one seen like 5 kilometers from you, so you can be like aware if you wanted to like run there or something. But there's like, you can know what's sort of in your area.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I know, so in my area, the weirdest kind of animal that we have are swans, which are not really popular around here, but we have some crazy swans at the lake just behind me here. So it's kind of neat to see them and walking around. So it's not something that you would see every day. So it'd be neat to kind of track that stuff on those apps. So for those watching, be sure to check them out because they sound like a lot of fun, and it just gives something else to do. Maybe you can make a fun game out of it with your kids, all that kind of stuff, seeing what plants you can find around and what birds you see, which is really cool. So again, any last little bit of stuff, Scotia, Alex, from you guys before we wrap up?
I just want to say thanks for including me in all these webinars. I've had an amazing time, and I'm super looking forward to summer even more. And I've learned stuff, even just in this webinar, I've learned so much. So it really shows that participating in these webinars and watching really, really helps connect with the diabetes community and learn more about it. So thank you guys too.
You're so welcome. Alex?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, the community feels, yeah, strong, and like I like that we're being able to support each other and like kind of pool our knowledge of different parts of diabetes and beyond. But I'll say, yeah, just try and just get outside, because it's, I think, one of the best things you can do for your mental health, even if it's just in your own backyard. Because I've spent too many days inside trying to work, and I come outside and it just brightens my day right up. So just enjoy the sunny days.
I have to agree with you 100%, Alex. Getting outside and even doing these webinars outside is a lot of fun. It's a change of scenery, a change of pace. So to everyone watching, we want to thank you all so much for joining us over our last 13 webinars. They have all been very successful, and we want to give a big shout out to all of our alumni, all of our attendees who have participated. We could not be successful without all of you, so thank you. And as we want to continue to support the diabetes community, as both Scotia and Alex said, that we do with these webinars, we are going to continue. We will be taking just a short little break as it is summertime. Of course, the DHF family wants to get out and enjoy the summer as well. So we will be coming back in August. I believe August 12th is the date we will be back with a really cool and fun webinar series. So you can expect some world-renowned speakers who are going to be talking about topics such as nutrition, fitness, and sleep, as well as diabetes technology, which we know is a really hot topic with all of you guys and the new technology coming out. So we've got some really cool speakers, and of course we will be covering all of that and more. So be sure to stay tuned on our social media. You can even click the cool notifications button, so whenever we do come back on, you guys will be informed of these world-renowned speakers. And we do have a really cool and exciting announcement as well. So kind of got to give a little drum roll, because I think this needs it just a little bit. But yeah, there you go. Alex has got it. But starting next week, we will be launching a DHF's Got Talent competition. Yes, that's right. I did. Yay. So I did say talent competition. So we're opening this exciting contest up to you, our viewers, and the diabetes community, of course, to submit a 3-minute video of you showing us your best talent. Exciting prizes are to be won. It's going to be a lot of fun, just really engaging the diabetes community during this summer. But for more information, be sure to check out our website and our Facebook page for official contest details and rules, as well as how to submit your video. All that will be live on Monday, so be sure to check that out. And we just want to wish everybody good luck with the contest. So Alex, Scotia, I hope you guys are ready to submit one of your talents. I know, Alex, you said you played the saxophone, so
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what you got. And Scotia, maybe you'll impress us with some biology stuff and science.
I'll bring my A game.
Perfect. So the sky's the limit when it comes to submitting a video and submitting your talent. So be sure to check it out. We are super excited. So again, thank you all so much for joining us over the last 13 weeks. We look forward to seeing you all again soon. Have a wonderful summer, and remember, be safe and don't get burnt. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Have a great summer, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.